Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another video, and today's video is going to be a collaboration between me and Demo, a subscriber who runs a pretty successful clothing brand basically at the same level as me. Some categories he's way better than me, and that's why we're doing a collaboration video. We're getting things done. Unfortunately, we're unable to get like a Zoom call or anything situated because he's on a partial business vacation but in South Korea. So we got all those things coming up. We got even more videos, and I even got collaboration works with him. So things are looking good between me and Demo, and we're getting things done. Before we get into the whole video with Demo, I want to talk about one big thing that's happening, which is my second channel. Many of you guys will know, maybe a good chunk of you guys, maybe the daily viewers, know that I had a clothing brand channel. I'm kind of put that on the sideline. I'm not entirely removing the idea, but I decided to start a different channel, a second channel, where I'll talk more about different experiences and different avenues that I don't really talk about on this channel, and way less educational, and it still brings value, but it's much more different and as much more leans very heavy into the conversation avenue. We'll still have like that stuff on this channel, but it'll be way less. It'll just be restricted to like vlogs and stuff like that. So if you want to learn about like the other side of the clothing brand things, and I'm planning different videos for that channel as well, like samples and manufacturer stuff and designing stuff. So if you're interested about just the real conversations and the experiences that are less educational, that's definitely the channel for you. If you want to find that channel, just go on the homepage and scroll all the way down to the bottom. There it is. Right, let's get straight into the video with Demo. Me and Demo, his brand is XOXO. Me and Demo did a lot of like work together for the last like 4 or 5 days. We're just talking to each other, and we've been doing work for like the longest, and our experiences as clothing brand owners and stuff like that, we were able to bring this video together to give you guys the information that we both can agree on and both know that is very, very good, especially if you're starting off, midway through your journey, or even later in your journey. And these things come to a point where we're going to be talking about two different things: designing and marketing. And there's also a third subcategory that we will touch upon briefly, which is foundations and just organization. And we're going to be talking about a lot of those different things, and we're going to start from left to right. So I'm going to start with, it's not going to exactly be like, oh, designing and then products, and then like, it's not going to be like fully like organized in that way. I'm just going to start it from the way we wrote it and the way we were able to come up with the ideas, basically how we brainstormed it. So let's talk about the first thing, which is good products. Me and Demo, especially Demo, have really good products. Now, there's difference between me and Demo. Demo is a lot more unique designs, way more cooler, like, contraptions and features to his clothes. And mine tends to lean towards more of the simple concepts, and both are good. Demo has more simple concepts. Demo uses the simple elements but enhances other elements that are different from my clothing brand. For example, he does like the basic hoodie or whatever, but the design is immaculate. Mine does like the basic hoodie, but the features, the material, the comfort is immaculate as well. So his is like the actual like design, the art, what's actually what you're wearing, like the actual like design per se. And then mine is more of the features. So we have like pockets, we have more extra material, or we have our denim jeans where it has a contraption at the bottom of it so it doesn't drag on the floor. Those are the two things that me and Demo kind of like agree upon, that good products look different for each clothing brand, and you must find out what your good product is too. And if you can take inspiration from me and Demo, that's even better. All right, some of the things we're going to be talking about, right? And one of the core things we can come up with, which is a set, right? A two-piece set. Not like a two-piece suit or anything like that, but a two-piece set. For example, some joggers, a shirt, or joggers and a hoodie, or a t-shirt and a jeans. Something you usually want to have at least 2 pieces in your collection that can go really well together. Now, is it needed? No, but me and Demo highly recommend to you to do that. So if you're designing a piece, design it in a way where those two can complement each other. Those two can work well with each other. It makes it easier to get more than just a one product sell. What I mean is like it makes it easier than, you know, if the hoodie goes well with the jeans, they're more likely to buy two of them. So like the hoodie and the jeans, not just the hoodie or the jeans. You know, two-piece set, amazing, amazing, amazing idea. Then it just comes to executions, right? And executions of how to actually design your products, right? Me and Demo, we do things very differently, but it's very much the same. Use the same digital tools and everything like that. But that's not what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what is needed to actually know if your design is good. And what is needed is actually reviews. Me and Demo agreed that you should at least have like at least 5 discords or at least a good chunk, like a good chunk reviews on your designs. Discord's the easiest way. That's why we said like at least 5 discords. Obviously the quality of the discords do matter. So if the quality of the discord is way higher, then 5 is not really needed. But we recommend at least 3 to 5 discords where you can just, you know, go on there, talk to other clothing brand owners, and just be like, hey, review the design, or even go on Instagram. Or we recommend if you have like already have an existing customer base, or even if you don't, we still recommend for you to post your designs on your socials and see how well your audience or even other random people that just come up on your feed or a post, you know, that look at your clothes and be like, hey, maybe they go there, maybe they'll give their feedback or anything like that, or maybe you can tell by the like ratio and stuff like that. So those things really do matter. You should get as much reviews as you can. I guarantee you this will help you develop your product way better. And like I said before, there is a quality of those reviews and those criticism, but it's very easiest to weed out the ones that really don't matter. But me and Demo recommend to at least have a Discord and multiple Discords to review your design. Another underrated thing that me and Demo do is actually still use our friends, our family to review designs. Even though we're way bigger now, we still try to use that source because it's the easiest and the most reliable source. I wouldn't say the most reliable in terms of product development, but the most reliable in terms of actually getting a decent answer. Now, if you know how your parents or your friends are, then yeah, that's a little bit different, you know. But majority of the time, you can actually get pretty good reviews, or at least decent reviews, or at least an idea of what direction you should bring your Clover brand and your products to. The next topic we're going to be talking about is actually meta ads, basically paid ads. Me and Demo have here where organic content, the ones that do really well, for example, you send it onto TikTok and it does really well. It has like 5,000 views and, you know, 1,000 likes or 800 likes compared to like a flat lay video, and that flat lay video has like 400 views and like, you know, 50, 100 likes. It's like the obvious answer to actually know which one to send to meta ads, basically paid ads, is the other video that did really well, the 3,000 or 5,000 views one. And that's pretty obvious. But me and Demo were talking about how a lot of clothing brands actually don't be using the right creatives and the marketing material. Always analyze data, and it's very easy to analyze on certain platforms. For example, you should be having that organic TikTok um content, basically send it over, take the ones that do really good on TikTok, send it over to Instagram, post it organically, and then send it to paid ads, whatever you want to do, how the process you want to go. But just analyze your organic marketing content and you'll know which one actually works well and what doesn't. It's pretty self-explanatory. But basically, organic content, the one that does well, is the one you're using for your content for your paid ads. Don't use the ones that really suck or trash. Next thing me and Demo talked about was actually collaborations, which is just network connections. You should be networking with other clothing brand owners directly or indirectly. Indirectly is like how we're doing now with this YouTube video and stuff like that. And then directly is like, you know, DMs, Discords, or just even getting in contact person with them, like how me and Demo is. This allows you to express ideas, allows you to actually review each other's designs and get actual good feedback, like really good feedback. And another thing is actually collaborations in the future. Me and Demo are working on a collection for the holidays, so things are looking very bright. And that's the power of network connections. If you're able to collab with other clothing brand owners or anything related to that field, like, you know, influencers or fashion influencers, or, you know, even outside fields, for example, On my second channel, I'm posting the video right now, but I was talking about how I collaborated with food trucks and stuff like that, collaborated with other network connections that I was able to use. So network connections are very, very powerful, but the ones me and Demo were talking about was basically collaborating with other clothing brand owners. It's something you should strive to do. Obviously it's harder when you're just starting off, but courses and educational programs are also a great way to actually get into that world of networking with other clothing brand owners. But it's a lot harder when you're starting off, so we recommend to actually don't strive for it right away unless you have a course or a mentor or something like that. Then later down the line, you'll find what you need to do in order to network with other people. It's not that hard, and also you can pretty much find a lot of discords and stuff like that to help you basically speed run this process. The next thing is actually for designing products. Me and Demo both agreed that we prefer the actual iPad. For like, for example, we were talking about Procreate, and we actually use iPads instead of like actual on the computer to like design products. Now, is it needed? No, you don't. You can use both of them. We both use both of them, but our preference is actually with the iPad. I don't know. It's just to be able to write like with a pen, it just feels much more different. It feels much more smoother. It feels much more comfortable to me. You're gonna have to test which one you like more, either the computer or the iPad. Now, is the iPad needed? I feel like most people, well, I guess a decent chunk of people will actually have an iPad. But if you just don't have an iPad, you gotta work with what you have, you know. But me and Demo both agree that iPad just feels better and more comfortable. So you can take that what you will with that information. So Procreate is a great platform as well to basically design your products. And then it just leads to another thing that me and Demo were talking about, which is don't force yourself to create designs. The design just will hurt in the process in terms of like actually being a more trash product, and also just you in general as a person. If you just force yourself to do something, and there's a difference between all your responsibilities and you have to do it, or you're just being lazy. But when you force yourself to do certain designs, or you force yourself like just make up a design that you just don't really have your heart into, at the end of the day, yes, this is a business, you need to make some money, but also this is art. You should treat it with respect. If you don't treat it with respect, people will notice that. People will notice that in your designs. People will notice that in your products. So just we highly recommend to just not force yourself to create designs. And if you are having a hard time, try to look for inspirations. Try to look for, there's no such thing as original, because everybody's inspired by something. Everyone's, people see things, people hear things, people know things. People, like, for example, my most popular and basically successful collection was the Medici family. And if you know anything about the Medici family, they funded the Renaissance. That's not an original idea. The Medici family existed and they basically created that, so I just follow in their footsteps. Inspiration like that can really help. Obviously, it'll be your own because you put your own twists and creatives into it and basically your own heart into it. And at the end of the day, just don't force yourself. The more you force yourself, the more it'll be most likely a trash, sucky idea. Now, there's a difference between putting the work in. If you're not putting the work in, then I don't know what you're doing. You're tripping. Right. The next thing we're gonna talk about is photo shoots. Me and Demo were talking about photo shoots, and the common thing between me and Demo's photo shoots is that our photo shoots had over 400 plus photos. If you're not taking over 400 plus photos and actually looking at them and seeing what works and what doesn't, then you're clearly doing something wrong, because the more photos you have, the more material and creatives you can use, and also just content in terms of like your products and actually showcasing it. Think of ideas how to use those photo shoots, and think of environment and themes. For example, Greek mythology theme. I'm thinking about doing a collection like that pretty soon. So a Greek mythology theme, get some Roman architecture or some Greek architecture. Obviously, is a lot harder, but there are some places, especially in the United States and other places in the world, that have like inspired themes of that, and then you can also get props and stuff like that too to kind of simulate that theme and basically environment and architecture. So that's a really great idea as well. If you want to take that idea, go right ahead. But basically, we're just talking about how you should be at least taking 400 plus, or maybe 300 plus, or maybe 500 photos for your photo shoot, whatever it may be. And we're also talking about renting a studio. Now, there's two different types of photo shoots you should be trying to push. One is like, you find a really good spot, whether it be like, a waterfall under a bridge that has like a good waterway, or, abandoned, like, buildings are a great way. For example, just like a, abandoned tractor or something like that. That's also a great idea. Or something like really crazy. No, don't go into the abandoned buildings. Not saying like, oh, take a pictures in abandoned buildings, but just abandoning like props and stuff like that, cars and stuff like that. Those are also really, really great environments to take photo shoots in, or nature. Certain buildings, certain architecture is really good. Obviously, follow storytelling and a theme. You'll know what you're looking for. And then the second one's obviously a studio. Do we recommend you rent a studio? Yes. It depends how you want to push it. Obviously, a studio is more professional, and obviously props and actually real good environment to actually take photos. Like backdrops and stuff like that. And backdrops are really not that expensive, especially if you think about the greater scheme of things and basically how much everything actually costs to run a clothing brand, the expenses and stuff like that, because the expenses are high. So when you really think about it, the realistically, you should be renting a studio unless you have a clear idea of what your photo shoot should look like, without the need of a studio. For example, if you're taking one in nature, or you have a really good environment, or snow, or anything like that, those things are really good props, materials, and actually great to take pictures in. But if you don't have any idea what to do, the best thing to do is just rent a studio, take the more professional route, and get things done. And then we obviously, if you have access to do this, which majority of people will, I feel like a small chunk won't have access to do this, but you should be taking photo shoots, unless you like clothes is like strictly for men or strictly for women. Unisex clothes is kind of like the main way to go, because you have a bigger market to play with, bit more customers, more likely to get more sales. But you should be taking photo shoots with girls and guys. So, girls and guys photos, not just one. But if you just have one, you have to work with what you have. So, but me and Demo recommend that you use, that you take photo shoots with boys and girls. And then obviously this is more of like a outside of the clothing brand thing, but you should have a emergency fund for just in case things go wrong, especially if you're on your own, you got your own apartment, whatever. You're out on your own, you're not with like your parents, or you don't have roommates to support you, or you know have like a loved one. Those things really do matter. Have an emergency fund, and make sure you are okay to actually take on a journey to start a clothing brand or build a clothing brand. So clothing brands are very, very high in expenses and require a lot of capital, especially for scaling. So just know that these things will happen, problems will happen, mistakes will happen. Me and Demo highly recommend to have an emergency fund. Pretty self-explanatory. Next thing me and Demo talked about was influencer marketing. Me and Demo use influencer marketing a lot. And I talked about influencer marketing in the past couple of videos. But also, if you want to learn about more my last month collection, which was red and black, check my second channel down below. As I said in the beginning of this video, if you made it this far, check my second channel. It can help you understand a little bit more about influencer marketing. But me and Demo were talking about a few things, and then one of the main things is target people with similar lifestyles to your clothing brand. Pretty self-explanatory. And then add money to your offers to make it more appealing to influencers. When you don't add money, the chances of them actually responding to you are quite lower than it already is. So me and Demo were able to make a template, basically what to use in order to get the job done, and here it is. All right, so me and Demo, our template for you guys is, we'll send you $50, $100, $150, or $200. Not exactly, but I'll have it on screen to like showcase what I'm talking about. But basically, you'll send them a certain amount of money, depending on the size of the influencer. Smaller influencers require less money, obviously, but the bigger the influencer, you probably gotta throw a little bit more money in there. But I'm just gonna say 200 because that's what I have written down. So we'll send you $200 plus a hoodie or jeans or whatever your product is. In exchange, we want a tag feed post and an unboxing, TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram, whatever you want to do, what platform you want to promote on with that influencer. And that's basically the template you'll be using that me and them will come up with. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you don't want to use it, that's perfectly fine as well. Although that's the most basic and just the easiest way to go about it. There's really no go-to method to like, hey, every time you send this DM, they're gonna automatically respond. But you shouldn't be like super professional as well. Because at the end of the day, it's just a DM. At the end of the day, the more casual you are, the more easy it is actually to interact with that person and have a conversation. If you come off as super professional, they're going to come off as super professional as well. So you should be like semi-professional. Obviously, don't disrespect them, but don't be crazy like super professional. Another thing that me and Demo talked about is watch the responses to basically send your product to them. And the reason why we say watch for responses is that, hey, if they say there's yes right away or something like that, or and you should have at least a small conversation with them already. Maybe send them a picture of your design. Maybe send them a picture of your hoodie you're gonna send them, and see how they respond. See how what words they use, what vocabularies they use, what's their tone, because all messages have a certain type of tone to them, and you can actually understand what is actually going on with them. Are they scammy? Or are they just taking a more professional route? Or are they just really casual? Um, just watch the responses. Obviously, if you have an idea what influencer you're going to go after, you should also check their page and basically just be very careful. See their likes, their comments, and see what going on with them, see what's going on with their pages and stuff like that. At least check the last like 5 to 10 posts. I recommend, me and Demo recommend. So yeah, basically that's the way to go about it. Obviously, there's really no go-to method when it comes to influencer marketing, but me and Demo recommend to just send as much clothes you possibly can for influencer marketing to people. The more clothes you send, at the end of the day, the more you can get done, the more you can actually get more marketing out of these influencers. And then this is actually a demo, basically inspired advice, I guess, because Demo helped me out recently with this, and I talked about this actually on my second channel. So go check out the second channel. Once again, free promoting it because I really want to push that second channel. But that second channel offers a lot of different things, and this is one of the things I talked about. So if you want a more explanation, a more in-depth explanation, check out that second channel. But basically, Demo uses South Korea English micro influencers. It's a very underrated marketing influencer tactic, and I highly recommend for you to use that. If you can use that, then yes. But I was not able to get into that market without Demo's help, because he was able to use his network connections to basically be a middleman for me and influencers. Now, it's harder to actually do that because you are going to have to ship overseas, ship to South Korea. But South Korea is a underrated place for fashion, especially for if you're trying to like promote through influencer marketing. This is a Demo inspired advice. So take that how you will, because Demo has been making a killing in South Korea. He's obviously on a business trip over there. So highly recommend to use it if you can. And then the last thing me and them will have is just for any type of help you need, add friend or ask friends and family, as we talked about earlier. But that was for more like marketing and reviews. But use friends and families as much as you can, because majority of the time they are free, and there's not the best price is always free. So understand that these things are very helpful. I kind of just speed ran it, but it's because it's supposed to come off as a very brainstormy casual conversation with me, you, and Demo. Obviously we couldn't get Demo on here, so that's pretty sad. He's his trash Wi-Fi in South Korea, blame him. But at the end of the day, this is what me and Demo were able to come up with, and we'll have more videos in the future with in this kind of style, and also with other subscribers. I'm working with some other things and some other projects, so just know that these things are all powerful in their own right. And last month I made $59,000, and I'm posting a video about it on my second channel. Go check it out if you want to learn more about that collection of red and black. And also Demo made $71,000 last collection, or last month I mean. So yeah, very powerful advice here. Take as much notes you can, and it's pretty simple. Me and him refined it to the point where it's very easy to understand, so you shouldn't have a hard time when it comes to notes. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for Demo to helping me out with this video, and obviously me and Demo will have more videos in the future, just like I said before, so look out for them. Thank you guys for watching once again. And if you want to learn more about how to grow your clothing brand, here's a video to help you right now.